Hmm. I would love to say good morning, but I've had better mornings, and the reason I'm saying that is I'm very disappointed, deeply disappointed, and it is over Congresswoman, soon to be former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii. Um, as you all know, that Tulsi Gabbard is a congresswoman from Hawaii, from the second congressional district. She was the campaign surrogate for Bernie Sanders in 2016, and in 2020, she was one of the gazillion presidential candidates in the Democratic primaries. You all know she's a U.S. Army major serving in the Hawaiian National Guard, did tours of duty in Iraq. And she had a promising career being the vice chair of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, until she exposed the fraud that was going on against Bernie Sanders in 2016 and her public resigning from the DNC to and then working for Bernie Sanders. Um, you know about that. And you probably know about the smears against the smears, including that she's a Russian asset. She's an Assad apologist. She's an Islamophobe. She's a homophobe. She's planning to run as a third-party candidate to prevent the Democrats from winning in 2020. There was that was smear or accusation. She's tied with Narendra Modi of India. She's a white nationalist, and you've heard it all. And I could easily refute every one of these things. I mean, she's not a Russian asset. That is just bullshit by corporate Democrats who were butt hurt over Hillary Clinton losing the 2016 election and claimed that Donald Trump was tied to Vladimir Putin. And I don't believe he was tied to Vladimir Putin. And they said that about Bernie Sanders. They said that about Jill Stein. They said that about Tulsi Gabbard. So I refute those. So that smear against her is bullshit. She's not a Russian asset. She is not an Assad apologist. She met with Assad of Syria to try to put a stop to the problems that's going on over there in Syria, and she doesn't support Assad any more than I would. If you don't want to see Syria become an ISIS state, you obviously have to look at Assad and look at him as the lesser evil. I find her tepid approach to Assad far less offensive than John Bolton proclaiming that the U.S. must side with Al Qaeda and ISIS over there, and he has said that himself in the past. So I mean, the fact that she's an Islamophobe, she doesn't want to bomb the shit out of people in the Middle East. Okay, she was raised in a socially conservative Hindu household, and so she had a very ass backwards reactionary view of the LGBTQ community. Um, Once she was in Congress, until recently, she had a 100% rating by the Human Rights Campaign. I'm sure that's coming to a screeching halt. Oh, and she was accused of being a white nationalist, a woman of color, a woman who's from a Polynesian background. So, but now she is being referred to as a transphobe. As I said, I can defend her from all these other allegations, disproving them all point by point. Um, it's hard to make an argument on her behalf on this one. I just can't defend her on this particular smear. And let me make this clear: I do not virtue signal or engage in cancel culture. Anybody who knows me would know I'm probably one of the most politically incorrect progressives you can imagine meeting. And I believe that people are entitled to their views, no matter how fucked up they are, no matter how shitty somebody's views are. They're entitled to their views, but I'm entitled to disagree, and I'm entitled to loudly disagree if I want to. So it hurts me to do this commentary. Yeah. But recently, Tulsi Gabbard co-sponsored legislation with Republican Congressman Marquine Mullen specifying Title IX protections uh, for female athletes based on their biological sex. So, in other words, somebody who was born a biological male and whatever's going on in that person's life, whether they're going through gender dysphoria and, and feel like they're trapped in the wrong body and wants to transgender into a woman, under this bill, it would not allow, this bill would not allow that transgender individual, let's say in some place like a high school setting, to engage in a sports team, a women's sports team. In other words, the bill would deprive federal funding for schools that allow transgender women on sports teams. Do you know what the percentage is of the transgender community in the United States? There are very few of them around. So as far as having an advantage in the sports team, I mean, I don't think that would be too commonplace. And as somebody who's very supportive of the LGBTQ community, and the T needs to be added in there. So all the TERFs, they're going around subtracting the T from LBGQ, from LBGTQ, and subtracting the T. You're wrong. You're wrong for doing that. But there's so few trans women in the population that I don't think it is any kind of a crisis. And depending on how that individual transition, especially the younger they are, more than likely, if they're engaging in the team and the transition is all the way through, depending on the individual and circumstances, I don't think they're going to be any stronger or any weaker than the other females they're competing against. Just how I see it. And to me, for Tulsi Gabbard to do this is really, there are more important issues. And she ruins it by supporting this stupid ass bill. She pretty much, her credibility on things like military interventionism, cruel sanctions, the military industrial complex, and the abuse and grip it has in America, the domestic surveillance, pardoning of whistleblowers, that sort of thing. People are going to forget about those things about Tulsi Gabbard, and they're going to look at her as this weirdo crypto right wing stealth pretend progressive who is a reactionary. And the rumors has it that PragerU is interested in doing work with her, and Fox News, that there would be a program for her on Fox News. And I'm thinking to myself, I hope to God that's not true. Because I hope that she's not going to become the next Dave Rubin. And I've been warned by some of my progressive friends that's the direction she's headed in. And I've always been able to fight it off. If you look at her, she's a little eccentric. I admit that she probably got introduced to the left in a lot of ways, kind of a crash course of getting introduced to the left after seeing what happened to Bernie Sanders in 2016 and getting involved with the Bernie Sanders campaign. She had a crash course, almost what it's like from transitioning ideologically from a corporate establishment Democrat to actually becoming an actual progressive. Could be that. You know, and here's the thing: if there's any validity to what some of my progressive friends have said about her, that she's going to become this right wing darling. I hope she knows what she's getting herself into if she's going to tangle with the right wing. Because you look at the modern day Republican Party. I mean, the Republican Party is a coalition of, I'm not saying everybody's a bigot in the Republican Party, but they're a significant faction in the Republican Party. You got the religious right, the Christian right in the Republican Party, which is probably the strongest faction. You got the neoconservatives in the party. A lot of them are kind of buddy buddy with the religious right today. Um, Tulsi Gabbard, will you be comfortable keeping company with someone like Dan Crenshaw? I'm not saying Dan Crenshaw is evil, but foreign policy wise, Tulsi, you stand against everything that man, Dan Crenshaw, is for. Do you want to be standing shoulder to shoulder with Meghan McCain? Although she didn't kill anybody, her damn father was a war criminal. Do you want to keep company with that? You want to keep company with a party that looks at people like John Hagee and Pat Robertson as wonderful moral people, quote unquote, who's going to look at you being Hindu and think that you're going to go to hell and that you're part of the problem because you're not a Christian. I mean, you know, and look at the people on the right you be keeping company with. If you end up, you know, end up being with people like Glenn Beck and Mark Levin and people like that, people who have supported these wars that you're opposed to. I mean, you don't want you. I don't think you would want that. I mean, you. I don't know. But having all that said, the hypocrisy is still some there going after her, Hillary Clinton, in spite of this transgender situation, the bill, the anti-transgender bill. Tulsi Gabbard is still a better person than Hillary Clinton. If you want to throw an LGBTQ question into it, there was a time Hillary Clinton did not support gay marriage. You know, if you want to go, and looking back in hindsight, the lawsuit. My only problem with Tulsi Gabbard filing the lawsuit against Hillary Clinton is she dropped the damn lawsuit once she dropped out of the presidential race. She should have done what she could to make Hillary Clinton life a living hell. Kamala Harris, she was right to set the record straight on Kamala Harris as Attorney General. What she did when she went criticizing Kamala Harris, criticizing Joe Biden for his Jim Crow pass. Tulsi, you called Kamala Harris out on it. Out on it. I'm sorry. You called her out. And that should have ended the campaign right there of Kamala Harris. And she's now the fucking vice president. You were right to call out Neera Tanden. And what a horrible candidate she is. I mean, and honestly, you just sponsored probably the first really bad legislation in your career. Neera Tanden supported seizing the oil from Libya, and that's actually far worse. You know, she's a foreign policy neocon. And Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, and Neera Tanden opposes Medicare for all. You support Medicare for all. I mean, and I don't. I mean, it hurts me to do this commentary because I respected you, and I thought you were you had substance, and I mean I like you enough that I would have loved to seen you become Bernie Sanders' running mate, or she would be running in the year 2024 in the Democratic primaries or in the Green Party. I could see myself being very receptive to supporting you, or at least I thought I could. I'm really disappointed, but I mean, I'm leaving the door crack open, and what I mean by that is that I hope that there is a rational explanation for why you're doing this co-sponsoring this bill. I'm not a politically correct person. I'm not one to sit there and name call people. I mean, you know, I mean, if I get my back in the corner or something, I'm attacked. Yeah, I get on combative mode. But no, I'm leaving the door open. I'm hoping that you can make an explanation, and somehow this explanation, you could convince us, while the explanation being true, that you could explain to us what the hell you're doing sponsoring this bill, and convince us that this bill is truly not transphobic, and that it's actually, it's actually pro transgenderism. I would love to be convinced of that. In fact, I want to be proven wrong. But I agree with what Shuan had said on her program last night on her alternative channel, Brainlet on YouTube. And she basically said, all the good things she did, and she acknowledged that. But she also said that in this particular issue, this is culture war doo doo, and it is. I mean, it's not like you're the first member of Congress from a supposedly progressive political party to sponsor or co-sponsor really horrible legislation. But here's the thing: it's not. I mean, it would be one thing if you would have been a member of Congress 20 or 30 years ago, co-sponsoring this legislation. But to be in the year 2020, and you can't acknowledge that a transgender woman is in fact a human being that should be able to receive all the equality that society has for everybody else. I really am perplexed by that. I'm disappointed. In fact, I'm very surprised. And I thought I was going to miss you leaving Congress, but it looks like you turn out to be, you know, a person that I didn't think you were. I hope I don't lose viewers or subscribers, because I think about this channel every time I'm just exactly post pro Tulsi Gabbard commentaries to necessarily hoard as many subscribers and viewers as possible, but I know a significant part of my audience perhaps are pro Tulsi Gabbard. As I said, I hope there's an explanation, and I hope that this can be resolved. And as I said, I'm not one of those people that wants to sit there and virtue signal and act like I'm high and mighty and just and try to force people to think the way they do. I'm just saying I'm disappointed. That's all. I'm disappointed. You're not the person I thought you were, and I'm deeply saddened by this. I mean, I've saw how I still think that Anna Kasparian treated you terrible from the Young Turks. I still think that the Young Turks were very terrible to you, and I agree with Jimmy Dore, and I agree with Nico House and some of the other commentators on the left that supported the good work you did, and it was through those programs that saw the good about Tulsi Gabbard, because it had not been for Jimmy Dore or Nico House, I would have probably believed some of this crap out there. Aside from this transgender issue, that's obviously, where I do find a lot of fault. All the other issues, I mean, as I said, I can easily defend you. But anyway, just right now, and this is just how it's hitting me. It's really just hard to take, and because I mean, I'm a civil libertarian, and I believe in equality of all people. I don't believe in special rights, but I believe in a civil society. You treat your fellow man or woman the same, and that includes the transgender community. If you like what you heard, press like and comment. If you were deeply bothered, comment anyway. Feel free to share the content on this channel. As a First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you that if you're passionate about something and you have a platform, utilize it. If you're passionate about something, you don't have a platform, create a platform, utilize it, because we're the muckrakers of our time. Please subscribe to this channel. And to let you know, I am American social democracy, peace, and Bernie Sanders for president in the year 2024.